Build quietly, arrive loudly. Where will you be in 6 months? With what you're doing, with how you're behaving, with how your productivity has been since the beginning of 2026. What does your future look like? Where will you be in 6 months? Build quietly, arrive loudly. What's up, y'all? It's your boy Jamai. Welcome to another episode of Manifesting Stardom, where you get to be a part of my journey to becoming the biggest star in the world. And we do our daily morning devotions, our daily prayer. And I'm just stuck on this. Build quietly, arrive loudly. As you know, if this is your first time here on my channel, I'm giving inspiration, I'm giving motivation from an artist, entrepreneur, Christian, independent artist perspective, but I'm really always talking to myself. I'm always talking to myself first. And so a lot of times we get tired because we are putting in work and we're not seeing the fruits of our labor. We're not seeing things come to life like we would like. But you just gotta understand that a lot of times what you want is to let the people know or get some kind of validation or get some kind of recognition, when you should be focused on building quietly and arriving loudly. If the results aren't what you want, you don't need to be announcing nothing. You need to keep your head down. And so I got 3 simple points to talk about why what you do that's unseen matters the most. Your unseen work is shaping your influence in the future. You know what I mean? So the first point I have is when no one is watching, you perform better. And when you really think about it, I know me, for instance, if you when I'm performing or when I'm practicing or when I'm recording or I'm songwriting, typically I'm the most free when I'm in private. I'm the most free when I'm in solitude, because if I'm recording a song, I'm probably going to try something that may not come out right that first time, or it may not sound right when I try it, or I'm using a part of my voice that I'm not very confident with, or I'm just trying things. Whereas though, if I got a producer in the room, if I got a songwriter in the room, if I have just a spectator or somebody just at my crib in my studio, I'm subconsciously looking at, how this probably how they think I always sound, or they don't understand what's going on. So I'll save that for when you are in solitude and you're not doing things in front of people, or you don't have to be performative. And so that's one of the benefits of building quietly, because when you build quietly, you get to fail, you get to try things, you get to troubleshoot, you get to see what angle you want to approach this. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times I tell people too, like, you doing social media, you doing content, that's you doing it privately too. Because you posting TikToks, nobody watching it right now, but you building the muscle of how to be comfortable on camera, what to say, the things to do, the type of content, the type of niche that you want to focus on. That's you building in private, because nobody's watching. You know what I'm saying? And there's a freedom in building privately. Where you mess up is where you start announcing, where you start saying you did more than what you did. If you just keep your head down and focus, you win it, because you're in a place of solitude, you're in a place of peace, you're in a place of safety with your own judgment. You know what I'm saying? The second point I have is announcing things slow down your momentum and it burns your energy. If you in a race and you looking from left to right, you looking at who behind you, you're not looking ahead of you. You're not looking ahead of you. A lot of times what happens is I've known, like, in the past, I might have a content idea or a goal or a focus, and then I see some trends on TikTok or on social media, and I'm like, well, everybody doing this, so let me hop on this trend. I don't do that no more, but years ago I used to do stuff like that. Focus on your thing, bro. Focus on your thing, because what happens is trends fade, but society always is evolving, and you want to be at the space where when society evolves to your thing, when R&B becomes a mainstream thing, when your genre of screenwriting is a popular genre in society, when your style of fashion is connected to what type of celebrity has that same sense of styling, you perfecting what you do, it's going to work because the world is ready for it. But if every time a trend comes along, you hopping on this style, you hopping on this style of music, you hopping on this style of fashion, you hopping on this style of writing, you hopping on this style of art, you won't ever perfect your thing. And so that's why looking at what everybody else doing, announcing what you doing, you using that energy that could be used at perfecting at perfecting your craft or your level of apprenticeship, you know. And another point I have is proof creates respect. Like, and this is something I struggle with, right? Because I know that proof creates respect. And so I'm trying to think of a way I could tell this story. So I know somebody that knows a record executive, and that, you know, I've been introduced to him or whatever. And, you know, he got hits. You know, he got his own label. You know, he's out where, you know, the entertainment industry is. And somebody was telling me like, yo, you need to try to get signed. You know, you need to go, you need to this, you need to that, you need to, you know, send them this, send them that. Now granted, there's always room, and I'm always humble enough to take an opportunity. But I'm wise enough to know that proof creates respect. Proof creates leverage. Proof creates trust. And so I know I'm humble enough and honest enough with myself to know that if I was to go to Bull and be like, yo, I got music, you know, if you're looking for an artist, da-da-da-da-da-da. And some people may call this cynical, but I'm more practical. I know that I don't have the streaming numbers, I don't have the influence, I don't have the social media following, I don't have the social proof, I don't have the popularity at this moment to leverage a fair deal with any record label. I know that about my situation. Does that mean that I ain't good enough? No. Does that mean that the leverage is coming, that the fans are coming, that the streaming numbers are coming? You know, that doesn't mean none of that is happening for me. But when you look at the business aspect of it, if I got $1 million to invest in somebody, and the person that I'm investing in has no leverage, then I have all of the leverage in the world when I make this deal to get all of the profits, all of the market share, because I have all the leverage, because I'm the investor, you know. And so me, as the person that would be invested in, I have to have leverage. And in my situation, in my industry, as a musician, as an artist, leverage is fans, leverage is streaming numbers, leverage is some sort of social proof. Whether I had a movie out recently, I had a hit out recently, I got this many social media followers, I got this many streams, that's leverage. So when I'm going to cut a deal, I can say, I want this much, I want to own this much, and I want this much creative control. At the level that I'm, the proof that I don't have right now, a record exec will run all over me. Unless they are like, I just truly believe in you and I want to be as fair as possible. They are all going to say that. But I know that I don't have no concrete leverage. I don't have any concrete proof that's going to translate in a business conversation that will give me the type of career that I desire. Now, people get crappy deals at the beginning all the time, and they get out of them. But most people don't get out of them on top. Most people don't. So I know that may be a cynical perspective, but it just goes into my last point of proof creates the respect. Proof creates the leverage. Proof creates the trust. So as I'm building where I'm going to be in 6 months, as I'm building, as I'm keeping my head down, as I'm building quietly, I build quietly and I arrive loudly. So that when I step into the room, I don't gotta introduce myself. I may introduce myself out of humility, but they gonna already know who I am. So that when I'm stepping in the room, my name on the list. I ain't somebody's plus one. I ain't getting in the room sneaking past. I belong there. I was invited. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the type of career that I want. That's the type of leverage that I want. That's the type of respect that I want. But that doesn't mean that things like that don't happen for other people, and it doesn't mean that it can't happen for you. But a sure way to get what you want is to build quietly. Build quiet. Just do the work, man. I think Beyonce is probably one of the greatest examples of just doing the work. We never, ever. The closest we ever heard to Beyonce using her personal life as marketing was Lemonade, and she didn't even say anything. It was solely her art. She never was like, oh, I was going through this with my husband. We all put that story together. And that's what artists are supposed to do. They're supposed to put their life, they reflect their life into their art. But she is the greatest example of somebody that just does the work, bro. She don't comment on what's going on politically. She don't comment on what Me Too situation is going on. She don't respond to this, she just does the work, and every single time it works, every single time. Because when she pop out, her ducks always in a row. When she pop out, it's loud. When she pop out, it's loud. When she pop out, it's loud. So she might do Coachella. She practicing for Coachella for a year. She do Renaissance. She practicing for Renaissance for a year. Quietly. And then it's the best show in the world. You know what I'm saying? She all through the pandemic, she just recorded and recording and creating quietly. And so I think that is the only thing that's going to attract the success you want, the respect you want, the social proof you want. And if you focus on the work, like I said, letting the work be your success, letting the systems be your success, letting your success be that I do what I say I was going to do today. Not did people like the video, not how many comments did it get. Oh, that didn't work, I need to try something else. You could try something else, but not because nobody liked it or not because nobody supported it. Head down and do the work. Where will you be in 6 months? Where will you be? We in January. What have you shown yourself up until this point that will make your 2026 turn out better than your 2025? Sorry, it's early. What have you shown yourself? So build quietly, arrive loudly. I got one scripture. It's the scripture is Matthew 6:6. It says, but when you pray, go away by yourself. Excuse me. It says, when you pray, go away by yourself. Shut the door behind you and pray to your Father in private. Then your Father who sees everything will reward you, because private obedience creates public authority. Private obedience creates public authority. I know I told y'all the story of when I was on The Voice and we were sequestered in a hotel room, and I was working out in the gym, because I always work out. That's a part of my daily. And it was dudes in there that was like, I got such and such time before we shoot the first show. I need to get, and I'm like, you not going to lose that gut in time? You not losing that gut in time for the show? For the taping? When it's time to show up, you got to already be there. Before you got to this hotel, you should have already had your body together. Before you even knew that you was going to audition for the show, you should have had your body together. And like that sounds super superficial, but it's a practical and a great example. When you do the work in private, bro, you get authority in public. It says here, what unseen habits is strengthening you right now? And the prayer is, God, help me honor what no one applauds. That needs to be a prayer. Help me do the right thing when nobody is watching, bro. If you want to be a great dancer, you need to be dancing like you're in front of 1,000 people. Because you can't prepare to be a good dancer the week of the show. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you're good at right now, currently, whatever you're really good at, I bet you've been doing it for over 10 years. Maybe not doing it saying, I'm going to be this, but whatever you're really good at, you've been doing it for years. And if you haven't been doing it for years, you're probably not as good as you think you are, if you do think you're good at it. But whoever knows you, or whatever you're known for, when they say, oh yeah, he's really good at this, or he could really do that thing, I bet you've been doing it for years. Now the intention was, I'm doing this quietly but the reason you're good at it is because you've been doing it for so long. And that's what we got to get in our heads, is that doing it every day, creating a system, only builds momentum. But announcing it, switching up, waiting for the accolades, looking for people to validate you, looking at what this person's doing, looking how many followers they got, it's going to burn you out every time, bro. It's going to burn you out every time. So look at what you've been doing this January and ask yourself, if I did this for the next 6 months, would I be where I want to be? And make changes. Make some changes. So build quietly and just know that the applause will come. My biggest dream, one of my dreams, is not only to meet Beyonce, I also want to do a tour with her. I want to do an album and a tour with her, right? And though I've met her, I sang for her before, I always say I don't want to meet Beyonce when I'm not famous. Not because I don't think she's going to not be nice, not because I don't think, but because when I step in a room, I don't want to have to introduce myself. I want to introduce myself, but I don't want to have to introduce myself. I want her to already know who I am. I don't want to try to fit my level of respect, how much I love her, how much I've always been a fan of her, how much I've learned from her. I don't want to fit all that in a 20-second conversation at a party or on the street. Or no. I want her to know me. You feel me? But that's only going to happen based off of building quietly. And like I said, that may sound superficial to you, but that's one of my biggest inspirations, always been. And she the last legend we got. So yeah, her and Stevie Wonder. But yeah, man, doing what you doing now. Where will you be in 6 months? Let that shape your work ethic. And keep your head down. Build quietly. And the results will be loud. The results will be loud. The results will be loud. When you arrive, the results will be loud. So yeah. So I'll see y'all tomorrow.